Ladies and gentlemen, a perfusionist is a person who keeps the heart beating during an open heart surgery. These are the people who legally stop a heart and allow the surgery to go on, and then starts back the heart, gets the heart beating in order to save lives during an open heart surgery. Now, there was a shortage of perfusionists at the University of the West Indies back in 2019. And one of them, is a senior about to be retired, so there was a gap to be filled. And there was nobody to fill that gap. So, Jamaica would have had to, import a perfusionist from overseas to fill that gap. One of them met with the Prime Minister, and they spoke with the Prime Minister and tell the Prime Minister about it. The Prime Minister, the most Honorable Dr. Holness, ladies and gentlemen, did not just listen, but he acted on it. He gave scholarship to 2 youngsters in that field, in the field of perfusionists. And ladies and gentlemen, they are almost finished with their training, and they are now working, assisting the senior perfusionists at the University at the West Indies. One of them is called Faith. I forget what the other one name. And when you go up there at the University of the West Indies, you will see those 2 youngsters. So Jamaica's future look bright, and the lives of many Jamaicans are resting upon the shoulders of these 2 young perfusionists. All because, ladies and gentlemen, they spoke to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister listened to them. He went back to Parliament and announced it in Parliament that he's giving away 2 scholarships to 2 young person in the field of perfusionists. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks be to him, there are no more shortage of perfusionists at the university hospital. Behind every surgery, you have to have perfusionists. Without perfusionists, ladies and gentlemen, the heart, many lives would be lost. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this moved me to tears when I heard their story. And when I read through the comments, and I hear people talking about them, how many lives these young people have saved. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the reasons I am telling you, don't listen to the biasness of people who are just laced with hatred and filled with misinformation about the Prime Minister. This is a Prime Minister who listen, and he don't just listen and make promises like the pipeline Prime Minister, but he is a person who listen and he take action. And ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that he deserves a 3rd term. When I hear some of the voters listen to this story, they said, that is the undecided voters, they said they were never going to vote. They have no interest in voting for anybody. When they heard these 2 young people's story, they said, I changed my mind, I'm going to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister deserves a 3rd term. Don't watch the bad publicity that you see people putting out there about him. They are putting the bad publicity out there about him because they are envious of him. They see something in him that they haven't seen in themselves. And that is the reason why they continue to put all these bad publicity out there about him. Things that cannot be proven. They keep feeding in the ears of gullible people Many people are listening to the garbage that Dayton Campbell and Damian Crawford and Mark Golding and all of these people are spreading about the Prime Minister and about the work that he is doing, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of doing their research and find out if what these people are saying is truthful, they just gravitate to the lies and propaganda that they are spreading, and then they try to discredit the Honorable Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, a Prime Minister that listens to you, a Prime Minister that is working for you, is a Prime Minister that is worth keeping. So next week, Wednesday, you see the thing that mark ahead? Don't put your X there. That's the opposition. You see the one that marks a bell? You see the bell? Don't put your X at the top of the bell or below the bell. Put it right beside the bell. If you put it at the top of the bell, it's going to be spoiled. If you put it below the bell, it's going to be spoiled. Put your X right beside the bell, ladies and gentlemen, because there are many times these voters have spoiled their votes because they put their X wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, pay keen attention to where you're putting your X's. Don't spoil your votes. And remember to vote for Mr. Holness. He deserves it. Ladies and gentlemen, don't vote against him because of the propaganda. That's just what they are. They are propaganda. They are rumors. Nothing have been proven. There is nothing criminal. The Prime Minister is not under any criminal investigation, because from the time Prime Minister Holness is in office until now, they are always trying to find dirt on him, but never succeed in finding any. Ladies and gentlemen, all that they find is just rumors. So don't vote against the Prime Minister because of rumors or because you say you simply want a change. Listen to me. If a person is steering the country in the right direction, you don't need to change from that person, because the opposition, what they are presenting, ladies and gentlemen, are things that will derail the economy and that will send us right back to the days of high unemployment, of low growth in the country, and also of high debt, and we don't want to go back to that. Also, ladies and gentlemen, you must understand that if the Prime Minister is for you, that is the reason why the opposition are so threatened by him, because he realized, ladies and gentlemen, that the people naturally love the Prime Minister, and they naturally bond with Mr. Holness, and as a result of that, ladies and gentlemen, they hate that, because if they realize that if the people bond with the Prime Minister like that, it's going to be hard to topple him. It's going to be hard to get him out of power. Ladies and gentlemen, the country doesn't belong to one particular political party. I'm tired of hearing people saying that Jamaica is a PNP country. Jamaica is not a PNP or a JLP country. Jamaica is a country, is a Caribbean island, ladies and gentlemen, that are for Jamaicans. And anybody who is capable can run the country. Anybody can run for Prime Minister on either part of the political divides. Once they are capable of doing the work, once they are capable of running the country, of going over there and negotiate contracts and all of this. Don't listen to the false promises. I hear somebody criticizing the manifesto, saying that they don't even see anything in the manifesto. They can't even criticize the manifesto. Because the manifesto was so good, they can't find anything to criticize it about. All that they are saying is that, what they are saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that the tax break that Mr. Holness is giving, it's gonna cause the rich to get it's gonna give high tax break to the rich. So let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. When they are bringing in their $3.5 million tax threshold, that's not just gonna give relief, tax relief to the rich, but it's also gonna bankrupt the economy, because they would have to fund it from somewhere. And where do you think they're gonna fund it from? New taxes. New taxes. You can't tax your country into poverty, ladies and gentlemen. You have to find solution to the country's financial problem through